The RHS Feel Good Garden is a space that is due to promote health and wellbeing through horticulture, illustrate ways in which people at home can implement certain design principles that will help improve health and wellbeing. The garden has taken inspiration from the work we're doing up at Wisley with the RHS on a much larger wellbeing garden. There's no straight lines, it's very organic and natural in form, and the reason for that is we don't want visitors or guests that move through the garden to feel forced through the garden. They need to feel at complete ease, they need to be relaxed as they move through it. There are a number of seating areas in the space, but none that are a focal point, and the idea being is you discover the seats as you move around the garden, and that just adds to the whole idea of this calming environment within the space. Within the planting, we've created a really cooling palette, light colours, whites, blues, purples, pinks, and that immediately creates this really beautiful, tranquil environment through the garden. The trees are really crucial, not only to create a bit of a sanctuary for us and people that move through the garden, but also wildlife. It's crucial to improve and increase biodiversity, because if you can see the birds playing in the trees, if you can see the bees and the butterflies in amongst the perennials, you feel good. And that's hopefully what this garden does.
The garden is designed so that the client is a family where the children are more grown up, so perhaps they're not in the garden as much, but we've created an area which is a very cool outdoor kitchen where family can come together and have meals and prepare food together outside, generally improve the happiness of whole family atmosphere as well. The interaction of the wildlife and the bees and the butterflies animating everything, it has a very calming effect, and also the sound of water in the background that drowns out urban noise such as aeroplanes and traffic. The colour palette in the garden is very soft. There's a lot of green in the garden and also a lot of evergreen. And we have an edible living wall with pots where people can grow their own food. I think it's really important that we show people just how good gardening is for you. Physically, it's exercise. Mentally, it's very relaxing. It's very refreshing to grow and produce something and see it change through the seasons. So gardening forms a really important part of health and happiness.
The garden is set in a refugee camp in Kurdistan, a refugee camp called Demiz, and I spent a week out there a couple of months ago. So these people have lost everything potentially, they've fled home, but they still have the presence of mind when they arrive at the camp to start gardening. But gardening has this power to ground them and reroute them and give them something to do. You can really feel when you speak to people, it's so important to them. Syrians love roses, particularly Damascus roses. It's the colour, it's the form, it's the scent of the rose that really does lift spirits. Running water really does calm you. The whole project has really showed me how important gardening is to people and how gardening can really help you in difficult times, really transport you, take you away from stress and from feelings of despair or feelings of even just feelings of boredom. Gardening can really help people feel better.